Hello, friends. This is Rebecca from Cedar Mill and Bethany Community Libraries, and I'm here to tell you a story about this guy. Who is that? Well, if you guessed Pete the cat, you're right. And he's wearing a special shirt today with some round things on it. What are those? Hmm. Yes, they're buttons. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 4 buttons on his special shirt. And in this story, when I ask, did Pete cry? You can answer, goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. Okay, so I think we're ready. This is based on the book, Pete the Cat and His 4 Groovy Buttons by Eric Litwin. Pete the Cat put on his favorite shirt with his 4 big, round, colorful, groovy buttons. He loved his shirt so much, he decided to sing his song. My 4 groovy buttons, my 4 groovy buttons, pop! Uh-oh! One of his buttons, the red one, popped off and rolled away. How many buttons were left? 1, 2, 3, right. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept right on singing his song. Can you sing with me? My 3 groovy buttons. My 3 groovy buttons. Pop! Uh-oh, which button popped off? Right, the orange one. The orange one popped off and rolled away. And how many buttons did Pete have left? 1, 2, right. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept right on singing his song. My 2 groovy buttons. My 2 groovy buttons. Pop! Uh-oh, which button popped off? The green one. It popped off and rolled away. And how many buttons were left? Just 1, right. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept right on singing his song. My 1 groovy button. My 1 groovy button. Pop! Oh no, his favorite button, the blue button, popped off and rolled away. Now, how many buttons did Pete have left? Do you see any? Right, there were no buttons left, or a 0. But you know what Pete did? Even though he had lost all his favorite buttons, he looked down at his buttonless shirt, and he looked closely, and guess what he saw? Pete, you have a belly button. Do you have a belly button too, like Pete? Yes, he saw his own special belly button. He kept on singing his song. My button, still have my belly button. My button, still have my belly button. Well, I guess the message with this story is that even though things happen that we don't expect, things sometimes happen that make us sad or disappoint us, it's okay. Buttons come and buttons go. But we can keep on singing our song. That's the lesson from Pete the Cat. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I enjoyed seeing you today. Take care. Goodbye.